Coaching session. Looking into the depth of your unconscious nature. Hey, I'm BB, and I am a master teacher and founder of BB Life Consulting. I have found tools such as the Enneagram teaching have been able to provide real-time psychology to help you look in the mirror, but not at your physical self, but your unconsciousness, to bring awareness to your hidden self, to help you tap into real fulfillment to your current reality, to enable you to live a purposeful life.
All right, so let's go ahead and get into it. So this is going to be session 3, okay? And so I know that these words probably don't seem like very much, but these are like big 5 characteristics that make up the type 6, okay? And just to kind of like review yourself throughout the day. So it's going from healthy to the unhealthy. So type 6s can be very committed. Look at you here today. Responsible, okay? Faithful. So you notice that falls in the middle, okay? Because sometimes the type 6s can be faithful when they maybe shouldn't. Okay? Then they can begin to get, because of that, they can begin to become suspicious about the person that they're faithful to. And it can begin to create a lot of anxiety. Okay? All right, and so today we're going to be talking about the wings. So, do you remember what your wing was for your quiz?
No, I don't even know if it gave me, I don't even know if I'll be able to look that up. Would it have sent me like a...
Sometimes people say when they take the quiz that it does send them an email, and some people say that it doesn't. So I don't really know. I think most people screenshot it to me. I don't know if you screenshot yours to me or not.
Yeah, I hope I did. That would help.
Well, it would kind of help us to go from, but we're going to be talking about the different wings anyway. So, okay, there we go. 5. Yeah, there it is right there. So based on the quiz, it says you are a 6 wing 5, the sage. This 5 is what they call the sage.
Okay.
All right, so the 5 is just more cerebral in nature versus the 7 is more extroverted. So it's like you got the introverted, extroverted on the sides. So, but we're going to talk about it. So wings are the 2 personality types on either side of the main personality type. For instance, the wings for the type 6 are type 5 and type 7. One of these wings is usually, but not always, used more than the other and brings a new dimension and depth to the main type. Think of them like salt and pepper. They add flavor and more complexity to the main type. The main type dominates how a type perceives and experiences life, but the wings do influence the main type. So you don't start, because your type comes from like a core place within your being, but you just take on some of the characteristics. So some people I have heard say that they don't take on any of the characteristics. Some take on one more than the other. Some of them take them on the same, and then it just kind of be based on like case by case situation. So I know like a lot of times, you know, when it comes to like being with my friends, I'm more extroverted, but when it comes to work, I can be more introverted. So it just kind of depends. And then we're going to briefly go over the core motivations. So every type has their core fear. So this is like the base of their ego or their personality that's created this structure. So the type 6's core fear is fearing fear itself. It's almost like you're afraid of it appears that it may be fearful, and you're simply afraid of that. Because when you really get on into it, you're not afraid, you just do it. You know what I'm saying? Because like type 6s are the most courageous type on the whole system here. So, but it's fear and fear itself, being without support, security, or guidance, being blamed, targeted, alone, or physically abandoned. So when a lot of times when that anxiety is coming on, it's because you feel like you're going to be losing support, you're going to be losing guidance, you're going to be abandoned. Like sometimes it may not appear like that on the outside when you're looking at it, but if you really sit with yourself when you are experiencing the anxiety, it's going to boil you. Or it's because it's like fear of like just weird stuff. happen. You know what I'm
Yeah.
saying? Like stuff you don't even think supposed to be fearful of, but you like when you sit and think about it, you'll start to see it. But the core desire, because of the core beer, creates a core desire of having security, guidance, and support. And then, but the core weakness, once again, is anxiety because you begin to scan the horizon of life and trying to predict and prevent negative outcomes, especially worst case scenarios, and remaining in a constant state of apprehension and worry. And that's not fun. That's not a fun place to be in. But you know what? Sometimes, I tell people don't be so hard on yourself because sometimes you go into that space,
Yeah.
but just learn like that. I think a lot of times we try to do anything to get out of that space instead of sitting in that space and try to figure out why am I here anyway, and then begin to get through it and then get on the other side. And this is something that the type 6 usually longs to hear, which is you are safe and secure. But it's one of the hardest things to hear. It's more of something that you just realize. You don't think too much about it. You just realize it. So let's go ahead and get into the types. So the type 6 wing 5, they call the defender. So in general, they can be organized, perceptive, cerebral, withdrawn, and knowledgeable, self-controlled, responsible, and serious about ethical and political beliefs. Can be mistyped as a 1. So 1s are more perfectionist. They stand up for justice.
Yes.
Outspoken and intense, and can look like an 8. So those are our protective challengers. But when struggling, they become more suspicious and isolated while watching for potential adversities. Both types are in conflict with each other. So the type 6 wants to band together with others for security and support, while the type 5s looks to detach from others and maintain internal resources. An inspiring quality is a mindful voice for the underdog who will go to great lengths to defend them.
Well, hello. That's the way you read me. That is the way you read me. That is the way you read me. Yes.
All right. So let's just put that in comparison to the type 6 wing 7. So the buddy. So in general, engaging, supportive, witty, friendly, and likable, looking to team up with others for extra support and security. But when they're struggling, they can be more anxious and hardworking, yet procrastinates out of fear. Can be more reactive and experiencing anxiety and internal pressures to make decisions quickly. Both types blend easily with each other. Both are extroverted, highly sociable, enjoying having a good time with trusted and committed friends, and like making new connections to ensure security and fun times together. Their inspiring quality is a very thoughtful, warm, and engaging friend who constantly looks out for problems but wants to have loads of fun as well. So you could definitely, okay. All right. So that's interesting. So we're going to reflect upon this. So which wing do you use more? Which I think
Definitely gonna be the 5.
The 5
especially because this is what really got me. Like, there are times where I am highly sociable, enjoy having a good time with trusting people. But then there's also the other side of me that feel like if I just met that person and we're just since I have a friend I did just so I'm like, well, we have to tread lightly on what we do so we can understand who this person is.
Okay.
Definitely
Yeah.
We don't both combine together.
Yeah, I can definitely see the 5 then. All right, so how does this wing add to your main type? How does it impact your relationships, work, and everyday life?
Everyday life, I would definitely say it keeps me headstrong, like controlled, organized. So there's, again, 3 things that I'm doing: real estate, investing, 2 businesses. That is quite a lot on top of being a full-time mom. I also sit on 2 boards, and I'm about to join and be a mentor for Big Brothers Big Sisters. I have no idea who told me to do all those things, but they're still, I have control over it, so it's all mapped out. But I know that I cannot take nothing else on. So if anybody asks me, partner with me, do this, I can, because I've already stretched myself thin, but it's controlled enough where I'm not going to be like, oh my God, I should try to follow this. I know my limits. So in that way, it's impacted my everyday life. As far as my
your internal resources.
for my relationships and work, I'm talking about those. So for work, when I'm at work, outside of work, I am highly sociable, enjoy having a good time, I'm outspoken. While I'm at work, I'm more reserved. I don't really talk highly in there or much in there unless they ask me to. Now, if they ask me to, or like when both of my directors out and it's like, you have to do it, I will, but I typically stay in my my wing 5 more than I do 6 at work.
So in other words, you're not going to give up more energy than what's needed.
Okay.
Yes, that's definitely a 5 characteristic. So how does the other wing influence your main type? How can you use it more to create more balance?
I guess if you talk about the extroverted part, look to be a little more extroverted at work. Not that I'm introverted, I just typically, I'm one of them kind of people you shouldn't overgive in certain situations, especially if you don't have that, if you're not locked in. Because we all know working for someone else, you're not always guaranteed that job. So if they decide today they have to let go of 20 employees, who's to say that you aren't one of those 10 employees? You don't know. So maybe being a little more extroverted and trying to do a little more could be the thing, but I don't know about that. I don't know about that. We'll have to see. Now, I do go outside of work to bring in members to teach people about the chamber, because not everybody has no knowledge about the chamber. And it's a really, like, working there and understanding the process of the chamber, it is a really great place to be a member, or if not a volunteer, just to have some kind of relationship with the chamber. It's a great deal. So I do outside things. So I go to these events or community get-togethers, and I kind of talk about, what the chamber is, what they do, and kind of answer people's doubts or concerns about, I heard the chamber is this, that, and the third. And I'm like, no, I can attest to this because I've worked there. I'm also going through some of the processes that a lot of the business owners go through, so I can either say, yep, I agree with that, or no, maybe you're just not out there doing what you need to do. Because if I'm doing it, there's no way we both should get 2 different things. We should get at least something similar. So
the fun
it's
part.
It's a hand in hand.
The fun part.
Oh yeah, that's the fun part.
That's the fun part.
That is the fun part, because I like people, so I get to meet people, I get to make connections.
Okay.
And that's the fun part would be like what I do behind the scenes, like the calls I make, entering in data in the database, which it ain't boring. It's just I'm like, okay, it's time to get out and have some people interaction, because now I'm having computer interaction. That's a little dull.
But I'm asking you, what do you like to do for fun? Because I can see all this internal resources protecting them.
Pretty much the same thing. Going out into I go to different events to like have fun, but also to get some knowledge of the event, whatever it may be. Look at the successes and not the so much successes of the event, like what could they done differently. And it's not that I'm gonna go tell these people, okay, if you done this differently, it'd be a whole lot better. It's from my knowledge and my knowledge only, so I'm learning as well as having a fun time. I always look at myself as a student of life. So anytime I do something, I'm learning something out of it. I'm never not going anywhere and I'm not learning. Unless, like for big brothers and big sisters, the only thing I would be learning in that aspect is how to be a better mentor. But I would be more giving myself than I would be receiving. So in that aspect, things like that, I'm more willing to, I'm okay if I'm not learning anything in the situation. I'm helping another younger
or you're teaching. So in other words, you like to learn or you like to teach?
I like to teach. Don't like to teach a whole lot. So that's why we do that's not only one thing. I prefer to learn more because if I learn more, I feel great. I feel good about myself. I'm like, yep, we're moving on to the next step. If I'm stuck and I'm not learning anything, that's not going to help me at all.
I definitely see a lot of 5 in there. So I see that you talk a lot about being more, what I would call sociable in the work realm, is going out and meeting more people. But what I'm trying to get to is like just in relationships and with friendships, do you see how you could balance in some of the more buddy type of characteristics? Like how could you balance that aspect out more?
Sorry. I would say I have been more, I could say before I was this me. I wasn't really a committed friend. You want to go here, you want to go there. No, I don't. If it didn't benefit me, that was it away. No matter if you just really needed me there or not. Now it's not my scene, not my social culture environment, I'm not doing it. But now I have two good girlfriends, and whenever they say, I just can't, sometimes they can't make me, but even though we've planned it out together, I don't be like, what, I'm just not gonna be your friend anymore. If I go, I let you know what happened, or I let you know how good it went, or if it was, I probably should have done you instead of home. So whenever they need me, or I feel I'm more committed in these friendships.
So what do you like to do for fun, in other words?
Drink. I love me a good, nice drink, margarita, or a daiquiri.
Okay.
Hello.
Okay.
And I always, keep them coming, sweetheart. Keep it coming. So I've realized that I've had more than enough, and I'm a totally different person. I probably flirt more in the six when I'm drunk.
The 6, 7.
When I'm drunk, it's
Okay.
I'm not so
When you
controlled.
let loose a little bit.
I'm not controlled.
Okay.
Open up.
So how does that
drunk.
feel when you're like that, though?
It feels great. People tend to like that. They love me like this, but they tend to like me
because
more.
this gets business done.
This gets business done. That is more. Let's go out. Let's take off our jackets and just go run the strip or whatever. It's a whole different person. So more open, more willing to. I mean, I take risks, but I take risks that I know that I would benefit from. So if I don't let's just say I took a risk of trying out Starbucks, I knew that the most I would only spend $5, so it won't just totally break my budget, even if it's not good or not. But let's say the risk, their coffee was $20, and I'm not sure if they're beginner. I'm sorry,
Right, no, that is not a risk.
But when I get strong, I'm willing to take any risk no matter
Oh,
what.
wow.
It is. So it is not controlled risk. It's let's just say.
Let me ask you this: what do you do for fun when you're not under the influence?
Hike. I go hiking, go running. Me and my boys go. I have to figure out something they like to do. So the oldest likes to build. We'll build things. Not my forte. We are not going to show what I build because it's not recognizable. But I do things like that with him. And then the youngest one, he's all boy, all playlist, jump, hurt, skip, do things ourselves. So I grew up around a lot of boys. So I don't like the term tomboy because it's what people use. Was a tomboy, so I don't mind. Like, put on shorts or something, we go get our hands dirty, nails. Unfortunately, I know a lot of people like, oh, she went in douche. Like, I'll go out, I go sweat, we go get our nails, our stuff dirty. I probably have to get a redo, but that's fine. It's fun with my boys, so we sweat, we run, we tackle.
Well, it seems like you have a pretty good, healthy balance between the two. But maybe on the
little drink side. That's why I have to be very careful when and how many times I do that, because she is not.
The main thing is just be mindful of it. Be mindful of, I want to have fun and live loose. I always have to be intoxicated to be.
We're working on that, but so far, intoxication works.
Well, it'll get you a little bit loose, but like I said, be mindful of it. All right, so the next thing that we're going to be talking about today is before we go over this, did you have any more questions about the wings? Or it's pretty straightforward?
Yeah, pretty straightforward.
Okay. All right, so we'll go ahead and get into the levels of alignment. So throughout the day, individuals, they can go from healthy, average to unhealthy. And so that's why I was saying, those key words are just really good to when you're in your day, you might start feeling some kind of way. You're like, okay, well, what's going on? What state am I in? It's good to be able to have something to glean to. And so this is another good thing too. And then when you go home today, I want you to write down examples for each of these, okay? All right, so when a 6 is healthy, they're living out your identity by becoming self-affirming, trusting of self and others, independent, yet interdependent, and cooperative as an equal with others. Your belief in yourself leads to true courage, positive thinking, leadership, and rich self-expression. Remaining warm, loving, committed, witty, engaging, trusting, and playful. Thinking of others and enjoy collaborating with a group or a team. So that's you. That's you today. I feel all these good things. So let's talk about average. So, believing you are alone and need to scan the horizon for dangers and people who might harm you. Taking control of situations because no one else is as cautious and vigilant as you are. Constantly questioning everything and everyone to predict the future. Looking for a dependable authority figure to trust, but testing them to see if they deserve your loyalty, creating the very problems you are trying to prevent.
I don't like this door. I don't like getting ready too many times. That is straightforward. Straightforward.
Okay. And, excuse me, unhealthy. So when the type 6 begins to become unhealthy, they're remaining on constant lookout for dangers at every turn. Becoming hyper-vigilant and suspicious of everyone, leading you towards paranoia. Failing to trust your own or an authority figure's thinking and decision-making ability, which ultimately makes you feel more alone, anxious, and cynical and fearful. So, like I said, I think that if you are willing to take the time out and go through each one so you can really have something to look at, like, you know, even hanging it up somewhere to remind yourself of when you're average, healthy, and unhealthy. So you can kind of like, so all of this is about being more aware, okay, and opening up your mind and looking at yourself, which can be very difficult when you read some of these things because, like, people don't say this stuff out loud. They don't say, I'm scanning the horizon of danger. I'm looking for danger at every time. What usually happens is it happens automatically. And then all of a sudden you begin to become very suspicious of the people you're around and who you're with, and very anxious, and you're emotional and you don't know how to get out of that state. But it's because you weren't paying attention to yourself when you began to become average. Okay. And then it gets worse and it becomes unhealthy. So everyone's going to look different in how these things show up for them. But I really want you to take the time to go over each one of these things and look at it. Not in a judgmental way, not to make yourself feel bad, just so it can bring that level of awareness to you. Because the more you are aware of yourself, the more you can, like, do something about it quicker. Yeah. Quicker. So it's all like, it's gonna take time. It's gonna be a process, but it's like sometimes you'll even find yourself in the moment saying, "Okay, hold on, I'm doing this. I'm gonna breathe. Let me go back into my belly and move from there." Because I notice a lot of time with type 6s, it's all cerebral. Everything is cerebral. Friendships, love, work, everything, creativity is all cerebral. But that's like your mind is just like simply a program. So like it's just a program of everything that you've been impressed upon. But when you move from your belly, like stop thinking and just move from your belly, that's when things begin to flow. Like remember, your mind is literally just a computer chip that's being downloaded. Your download, and when you move from your belly, it's going to be from that what you're downloading. But you don't have to think about it. So what do you think about? What do you think about not thinking?
It can be good or bad. Depends on the situation. I've done things without thinking, and I've had to learn from some. And some it actually works. So it's about understanding when to take that and not thinking.
Remember, you got to have the right program. If you have the right program, I mean, that doesn't mean like everything's just gonna like be perfect and be what your ideal situation is. But I think like when you allow yourself to just flow in the moment without thinking, it begins to work itself out. Like because it's like alignment. It's alignment. All right, so did you have any questions about anything today?
This one was very straightforward, very readable. But basically, like you said, it was more of an awareness thing. So, not that I didn't know, but it's like, okay, yeah, that's kind of right. So it's like, oh yeah, do that. And then as you talk, a couple of situations came in my head. I was like, oh, that happened in that situation. Oh, this what happened in that situation. So it's just about bringing awareness of like, well, you know.
It's more of like the inner dialogue that goes on that's never being said out.